Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me in this workshop. It's called Breathe, Now Teach. So the premise of this workshop today is that we can't give what we don't have, right? We cannot show up as a calm, confident, compassionate, communicative teacher, empathetic teacher if we don't have those things within us. If we don't feel calm, we can't show up and lead a calm classroom. Okay, if we're not communicating in a compassionate, loving, clear way, we can't expect that our students are going to give that back to us. We are mirrors for what's happening in our classroom. So if we're struggling with a very chaotic classroom, then that's a hint that we really need to look inside. If we show up every day and we have the classroom of our dreams, students who are on task and engaged and confident, taking risks, then hey, we're probably doing a really good job at managing our own emotions. The challenge right now is that children are coming into our classrooms with a variety of stressors. A lot of them we can't even imagine, right? The big emotions that they're faced with at such a young age, the grief, the sadness, right? The trauma that they may have endured during the last, 18 months of COVID and the pandemic. But you as a human, you've also endured a lot in the last 18 months. You may not know, you may not be aware or realize how much is in your body, how much you're holding on to. Okay, the last 18 months have not been easy for anybody. But in this workshop, I'm going to share with you my favorite tool, tapping. It's also called EFT or emotional freedom techniques. But my favorite tool for helping you better manage your emotions so you can show up for your students as a calm, confident, compassionate leader. And as a result of how you show up, you got it, your class is going to show up in a very different way. Your students are going to show up in a very different way, and your classroom environment is going to feel a whole lot different. So let's jump right in. If you look at your workbook, so you should have your workbook. If you don't have your workbook printed or downloaded, you can pause and you can go ahead and do that. So what is tapping or EFT, emotional freedom techniques? Tapping combines acupressure with psychology. So we're literally tapping on certain parts of our body and we're saying certain phrases. So that's the psychology part, the brain-based part. So the acupressure point, we are tapping on certain acupressure points. We're releasing blocked energy, okay? Because an idea behind tapping is that when energy gets stuck, we have certain problems that come up. It could be a physical problem, like stuck energy in the throat may result in a fear or an inability to speak your truth, to speak your voice, right? To have your voice be really heard in a loud and confident way. Migraines, sinus issues, lower back pain, like these are all things that can have a very, very strong emotional component. Okay. A very strong emotional component to any pain in the body. So stuck energy can show up as pain. Stuck energy can show up as a big emotion, right? Anger, fear, sadness, guilt, depression, hurt, shame in a variety of ways. Okay, lots of different emotions. Stuck energy can show up in a lot of other ways too. It could show up as a limiting belief, right? So if you have a student who says, I'm just not good at math, or a student who is struggling to read, there could be some stuck energy in a belief, a disempowering belief that they may have on a subconscious level. Okay, so we're really going to focus today on tapping and how to use tapping to take care of ourselves, to fill ourselves up, to give ourselves what we need, the calm, the peace, the courage, the confidence, the clarity that we need so that we can show up for our students in a very different way. So tapping, right? It's a combination of psychology and acupressure. It helps us release stuck energy from the body. And when we have energy that's flowing through the body, everything is flowing smoothly, then things are good. There's harmony within our body. We feel good. We have more empowering thoughts. Okay. And our emotions are supporting our overall health. Okay. And also, if we look at the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, right? If we are stressed and anxious and tense and afraid, and we're in that sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, freeze nervous system, we're definitely not able to show up, right, as that calm, confident, compassionate leader. But if we're using tapping to help us shift from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system, all of a sudden we're in this state of rest, digest, heal, this calm state where our body is working as it should. And we're in this place where we're really able to show up in a very different way. Okay, so tapping helps us flip that switch from the fight, flight, freeze, sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system, and really help support us in not only in optimizing our health, but in showing up for our students in a very different way. And for your students, it's the same thing, right? If you are using tapping with your students, you are giving them one of the greatest gifts because you're helping them get into the learning mode. You're helping them get into the brain-based state where they are physically able to learn, where they're able to learn new information, they're able to apply new information, retain new information, access prior knowledge, right? So we want to really be able to support them in that way. So tapping is a tool that can definitely help them do that. So then what is tapping typically used for? Typically, tapping is used for 4 different things. The first thing, as I mentioned, physical pain. Okay. Most of my clients, most of the people that I work with have some kind of pain in their body and they're looking to release it. Maybe their doctors are saying there's nothing wrong. Maybe they're taking medicine and it's not working, right? So tapping can help to support our bodies in healing and to release stuck energy that could be underneath the physical pain. Okay, so that's the first way tapping can help, or the first thing tapping's used for typically. The second thing is emotions, right? If we're in a state of sadness, like we just can't get out of this funk of feeling sad, if we're feeling afraid, or if we are having a really hard time letting go of like guilt or shame, I mean, those are really, really big emotions. If we feel angry and we're holding on to a lot of anger, I have to tell you guys, anger is the most toxic emotion for your body. Okay. If you're holding on to a lot of anger, or you grew up in a very angry household, releasing that on a subconscious level will support your body and your mind and your soul and everything in a huge, huge way. So, is there some anger that you may be holding on to? So emotions, that's the second thing. Okay, so physical pain, number 1. Number 2 is emotions. Number 3, as I mentioned before, limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs, okay, if you have like a disempowering belief, let's say the belief is kids these days just don't listen. Kids these days just don't have positive role models, right? Whatever it is. If you want to delete this disempowering belief, because these beliefs are certainly affecting how you're showing up in the classroom, right? If you have a belief, I mean, it could be something unrelated to school. If you have a belief, all teachers are stressed out. Teaching is a really stressful job. You can't be a teacher and have a life outside of school. Or my body has to rest every Sunday. Like I know many teachers and many people who are in similar fields where their entire weekend is spent resting. Okay. We create our own energy. Our body can generate energy at any time. So it's really unhealthy if you have to crash in order to reset and to refuel. So there could be a belief there, right? Um, and what you'll notice as we go through the tapping together, and as I share some tips on how to bring tapping into your everyday life, what you'll notice as you are consistently managing your emotions and consistently processing and letting go of stress every day, your body's not going to need those, major periods of like doing nothing, right? You'll be able to find the passion and the energy and the purpose in doing things outside of teaching, right? Spending your weekend gardening or going hiking with your family or whatever it is, and you're not going to feel like that suppression, right, of exhaustion. So limiting beliefs is our third way, right? So we have physical pain, emotions, limiting beliefs, and then the last thing that EFT is really great for is releasing trauma. Now, a big disclaimer here is that, especially if you're not trained as an EFT practitioner, helping students through trauma or working on your own traumatic experience by yourself is not necessarily a very safe thing to do. So I always say, with EFT, like what we're doing for today, we're going to work on using EFT for stress, overwhelm. We can use it for a lot of different emotions. But if there's something traumatic that's happened to you, or that your student, may have experienced a significant trauma, it's certainly not like tapping with them can open up, or tapping on your own significant experience can open up a lot of stuff that might be really hard to close up, to resolve, and to safely, take care of. One second, sorry guys. Okay, so now let's look at the tapping point. So there's a picture here. I'm not going to really go over every point here with you because we are going to get into some tapping. I want this to be a really hands-on experience for you. So, but just so you know, that image is there. It's on the workbook for you. It's there for you so that you have, the tapping points. Okay, so let's jump in to a really quick tapping round on letting go of stress. Now you'll see in the workbook, I have 2 scripts for you. There are 2 different scripts. The process is also there so that you have that. We don't need to talk about that today because we're going to actually be doing it, but you have the process and you have 2 scripts that you can lean on if you need a little bit more support in that, a little bit more guidance. You can edit those scripts, modify those scripts, customize those scripts in any way you want. Okay? In any way you want. Okay, so let's jump in. So first, important to get into our body. Okay, so if you're sitting down, having your feet flat on the floor, okay, nice straight back, not like slouching over or leaning on your desk or anything like that. Nice straight back. And I want you to get into your body. So one of my favorite ways to do this is to bring my attention to my hips, my legs, and my feet. Now, this part of my body and this part of your body is what grounds us, what helps us feel strong and aligned and alive and safe. Okay, so when we bring our attention to our hips and our legs and our feet, we're a lot of times it's easy for us to feel grounded, to feel in the body. Really, really important that we want to start in this place. So you can close your eyes or keep them open if you wish, but bringing your attention to your legs, your feet, your hips. Maybe you want to wiggle your toes, roll your ankles around. You might want to take a deep breath, but really bringing your attention here. And then when you feel like you're feeling pretty good, you're feeling pretty centered and grounded, we're going to go ahead and jump into the tapping process. So what we're going to tap on in our first round is tapping on stress. Okay. we're going to tap on stress, letting go of stress, processing stress. Okay. And we're going to use the tapping process that's in your workbook. So you have this available to you. What I want you to do right now is rub your hands together. I want you to put them over your chest. And I want you to check in with your body and notice on a scale of 0 to 10, how stressed do you feel right now? When you have that number, you can write it down or just remember it. Okay, but you want to have that number. And then we're going to move to the karate chop point. And we're going to acknowledge that we have stress in the body and that having the stress in the body is not necessarily a terrible thing or a bad thing. It is what it is, right? We have to acknowledge it before we can release it and let it go. What we resist persists. So if we don't acknowledge it and we just start tapping on, I want to feel so good, I want to be so calm, life is so amazing, then we're not letting it actually like come to the surface and we're not able to release it. So what we resist persists. We want to acknowledge it. We want to bring it to the surface. There's no judgment here. Okay, we just want to do this so we can let it go. Even though, and you're going to just repeat after me. So even though I have all this stress in my body, I'm doing the best I can. Even though there's so much stress in my body, I'm doing a great job. Even though I have all this stress in my body, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Now we're going to go through the tapping points. All this stress, this stress, this stress. So again, we're bringing the awareness to the stress in the body. Okay, really important to do this. This stress, this stress, this stress, this stress, this stress. All this stress in my body, all this stress. So much stress in my body. Again, we're still talking about the stress. We're acknowledging it. We're bringing it to the surface. So much stress. This stress in my body. All this stress in my body. This stress. Now I want you to tune into your body and notice where the stress is showing up for you. Is it a pain in your lower back, a tightness in your left shoulder, a little bit of a headache? Just notice where the stress is showing up for you. All this stress in my, all this stress in my, and then just fill in the blank, head, shoulders, back. All this stress I feel in my, it feels like, describe it. What does it feel like? All this stress that feels like the stress in my, okay, now we're gonna pause for a moment and we're gonna do something called tap and breathe. So we're going to tap through the points and we're just gonna take a deep breath on each point, okay? So when you're ready, deep breath. And inside the eyebrow, deep breath. Side of the eye, nice deep breath. Under the eye, nice deep breath. Nice deep breath. On the chin, nice deep breath. Collarbone, nice deep breath. Under the arm, nice deep breath. Okay. Back to the top of the head. I give myself permission to let the stress go. I give myself permission to let go of the stress. I give myself permission to let go of all the stress in my body. It's okay to let it go. I give myself permission to let this go. Give myself permission to let go of the stress. It's okay to let go of this stress in my body. Give myself permission to let it go. I choose to believe my body can be calm and relaxed. I choose to believe my body can be calm and relaxed. I choose to believe my body can feel so calm and relaxed. My body is calm and relaxed. It's safe to let go of the stress. It's safe to let it go. To let go of this stress in my body. I can let this go. I can let go of the stress. It's okay to let it go. I can let go of the stress in my body. It's safe to let this go. All the stress in my body, I can let it go. I choose to believe I could be calm and relaxed. I choose to believe I could be calm and relaxed. My body is healthy. My body is calm. In this moment, I am okay. I am safe. Letting go of the stress. Letting go of the stress in my body. It's okay to feel calm and relaxed. I am calm and relaxed. When you're ready, bring your arms down. Maybe stretch a little bit. Oh, excuse me. Stretch a little bit. Maybe give yourself a big giant hug for doing this work today. Move your body in any way that feels good to you right now. And then just kind of shake it out. Whew. And I want you, when you're ready, to rub your hands together. Rub your hands together so you feel that nice warm energy in your hands. And then put your hands over your chest. Take a nice deep breath. Let it all out again. Nice deep breath. Let it all out. Check in with your body and notice how your body feels right now. See if you can access the stress in your body again. See if you can bring the stress up to the surface. And if you can, notice how stressed you feel right now. How intense is the stress in your body? So on a scale of 0 to 10, how stressed do you feel right now? And then I want you to compare that number to the number that you had in the beginning. Okay, so just compare that number and see how your stress has changed. Did it go down? Awesome. Did it stay the same? That could happen too. And if it stayed the same, one of the most common reasons is that you didn't tap on the correct emotion. So maybe you're not stressed right now. Maybe you're anxious or scared or worried or afraid or sad, right? So what you can do then is you can rewind this tapping session and you can replace stress with the emotion that resonates most with you right now. Okay. Did your number go up? If that's the case, and that could also happen, there's a couple ways to troubleshoot that. The first and most common thing is that we didn't tap on the right emotion. So again, it's probably not stress that you're feeling. It could be anger, sadness, fear, something else. Okay, so I would explore that, get curious about that. And then you can rewind this again, just replacing the words, or you can use one of the tapping scripts in your workbook. And, as you tap, notice what's coming up for you. Okay. So I want to go over a couple ways for you guys to bring this tool into your everyday life. Very, very important for you to have a consistent emotional management practice. Okay. And when you do have a consistent emotional management practice, then you're going to be able to access your calm, to access your emotional state, your supportive emotional state, for you to show up to your class as a calm, confident, compassionate teacher. Okay. So a couple things. The first thing is, one of the things that we did in our tapping round was the tap and breathe. Okay. So with the tap and breathe, what you can do is you can tap on the points and take a deep breath. Okay. Tap through the points and take a deep breath. If you did this every morning for 1 minute before your kids came in for the day, imagine how much calmer and how much more energetically aligned you are going to be when you see their little faces coming in, or when you have your first challenge, or when you have, a student who's resisting, who's not doing the work, who's procrastinating, who's acting out, right? You're going to be able to respond in a much calmer way. So the tap and breathe, right? Tap, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, right? Go through the points. So that's one of the easiest things that you can do where you have an emotional wellness practice that's super simple, that takes 1 minute, right? That you can do on a daily basis, on a consistent basis, okay? Another thing that you can do, which is one of my favorite things to, as people are starting out, okay, is what we call the tap and talk. Can also be called the tap and rant. What you can do with this technique is you can tap through the points and talk about everything that's bothering you right now. You could even tap through the points and talk about everything that's on your list. The parent emails that came through that bothering you, the, surprise observation that you think is going to happen in the next couple days, the amount of papers you have to grade, the lesson plans that you have to do by tomorrow at 4, whatever it is. You can look at your list, you can go through and just tap through your frustrations. Notice how your mood shifts. Notice how your emotional, notice how your emotional place changes, like where you are on the emotional scale. Are you in the really, really low notes, the sadness, fear, anger, depression, guilt, shame? Or are you kind of moving towards the higher notes of, gratitude, joy, love, acceptance, peace, freedom? Like where are you on that scale? Notice as you tap and as you talk, right? You're giving these things a voice, you're letting them go, you're releasing them. You don't want to suppress or to shut anything down. Everything is valid. Every thought that you have is valid. Every emotion that you have is valid. If it's not supporting you right now, just let it go. Talk it out. So tap through the points, talk about your frustrations, kind of like you would, call up a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a spouse or somebody that, you really trust, and, kind of going through your day, right? Now, you don't want to get into the habit of using this as our only stress management, emotional wellness technique, because sometimes people use this as a crutch and they're not really changing their overall habits or patterns, because it can get to be a little bit like complaining. That's never really a great strategy, right? For making changes, for feeling better. So, but use this for now. Use this as you're starting. Tap and talk, tap and rant. The most effective way to use this technique, though, would be when you're done, when you feel like things are they've moved through you and you feel better, you feel a little bit lighter, you feel the energy shift. Then reflect a little bit. Just notice, like, what was coming up for me as I was doing that? What emotions were there? What beliefs were there? Like, what was really underneath all of this overwhelm, right? That can give you a lot of insight. All right. So tap and rant, tap and talk, reflect on it. The other thing that can be really awesome, and I love teaching teachers this one, because it's so easy to use it with your students. So if you don't know yet, there are actually little acupressure points on the side of each of your fingers. Okay. So right where like your nail bed is, right on the side. So what you can do is you can go through the tapping, that's like talking about your emotions, talking about thoughts that you're having, fears, whatever it is. And you can tap on the fingertip points, just going from finger to finger to finger. Okay. And you can be bringing attention to certain things. So, as we were tapping on stress, we could do all this stress in my body, all this stress. There's so much stress, this stress, all the stress. And then we can go through at like maybe a tap and breathe round. So we can tap on each point, take a deep breath. We can do similar phrases like, I give myself permission to let go of the stress. I give myself permission to let go all this stress in my body. I choose to believe, right? That's a really powerful phrase. I choose to believe my body can feel calm and relaxed, right? So we can go through a very similar tapping process just using our fingertips, okay? This is really, really powerful. I always recommend to any of my clients, when you're sitting at a red light, okay, sitting at a red light, make this a habit, because there you have a few minutes, or maybe like 2 minutes. I don't know how long red lights are, but you have a minute or so, right, of just letting go of whatever needs to be let go, letting go of stress, letting go, whatever it is, anxiety, fear, sadness, whatever it is, you can let that go just using your fingertips. Or you could just tap while you're sitting at a red light and let that go. But if you want to do something more discreet, you can use your fingertips. The fingertips can be super, super, super powerful and also very discreet, right? Nobody has to know what you're doing. The other thing, if you teach very young children, or this might resonate with you a little bit more, is tapping on your fingertips this way. Now, supposedly, we don't really have energy, like energy centers in our like fingertips here. However, I will say this is a strategy I always teach kids that I'm working with, and I always teach adults as well, because this is something that you can do. You don't need two hands to do it. So if like your hand's in your pocket or you're waiting in line at the store and you want to just release some stress or tension like this, it is very, very effective. Okay, it's very, very effective. And a lot of times kids really resonate with this. They may tap on their legs, kind of, tapping like this on their legs. A lot of kids subconsciously do this anyway. You might notice, kids that are always tapping on their desk, they're self-soothing, right? They're subconsciously managing something, releasing something that's going on that's not supporting their body. But this is a great technique. Okay, this is a really, really great technique. Or you can do this, on the side of your fingertips. It's a really great way to also release stuck energy, help your body function better, right? Help release any energy that's stuck, so that your body's energy system is flowing smoothly. Okay, that's the goal. Because when our energy is flowing smoothly, we don't have pain, we don't have negative emotions, limiting beliefs, right? We can address these, we can process all these things, we can release them. Okay. So those are a few ways you can bring tapping into your everyday routine. So let's just recap real quick. The first thing is the tap and breathe, right? To go through the tapping points, taking a deep breath on each tapping point. Okay. That's the first way. The second thing that we can do is the tap and talk and rant. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. The tap and talk or the tap and rant. So going through the tapping points, okay, and talking about whatever is challenging you. All right. So the tap and talk, the tap and rant. So that is the second thing. The third thing is the fingertip points. And this is a great thing, a great strategy to bring to your students. Okay, it's a really empowering strategy for them. You can talk to them, you can work through different challenges with them, and they have this tool that they can use anytime they need it, right? The tap and talk is also a really great thing as well for students. Just having them talk about the things that are showing up for them, the fear they may have around a quiz or a test or whatever it is, but letting them bring that up. And it's really important, if you are using any of these strategies with your students, really important that there's no judgment or advice. Okay, if you're doing a tap and talk with a student and they're bringing up all these fears, and you may think these fears are totally irrational, like you may be working with a straight A student, doing some tapping with them, and they're talking about how they're going to fail this quiz. They don't have any idea what to study. They whatever. And you're thinking in your head, you do amazing in my class. And you're just not quite understanding these fears. There's no judgment. There's no advice. Okay. It's really important for you to let your own stuff come up with no judgment, no advice, no like, I should do this. But it's also important, if you're using this with students, to give them the voice, give them the space, and be present for them no matter what's coming up. There's no judgment. There's no advice. There's different things you can do coaching wise and stuff like that later on that we might chat about, that you can help to shift their perspective about certain things, or to really kind of like flip their disempowering beliefs on their head. But that's not what we're doing with the tapping. We're letting things come up. We're letting things be heard. We're letting things be seen and acknowledged so that we can let it go. Okay. And a lot of times as we're tapping, we have our own personal insights where we're like, oh, okay, that's why I'm afraid of this, or that's why I feel this way or that way. So really important to always be compassionate with yourself as you're going through these processes. You'll notice in your workbook that you have some notes about these 3 strategies we just talked about, really easy ways that you can bring this into your everyday life, like literally something that you do every single day. The other thing that you'll also see is a checklist, okay, a weekly checklist. Really important for you guys to get into the habit of doing this on a regular basis. So if the checklist helps you, print that out, put that in the beginning of your planner, for the week or whatever it is. One thing that I do that's really helpful is on my phone, I schedule like my tapping session. So I will schedule when I'm going to do this work. Okay. And it might not always be a time, like I'm doing this at 6:30 in the morning. I'm doing this at 8 o'clock in the morning, but it's more like it gets done before my day starts. So sometimes I wake up and I'm super inspired right away to jump into a tapping session. Sometimes it happens after, I've had my breakfast, or I sit down at my computer, or, I sit down on the couch with my dog and I'm like, okay, this is the time that I'm going to do it. The thing is, it has to get done by a certain time, right? For me, it has to get done before my kids wake up and my day really starts. But there's flexibility in that, right? It doesn't have to be so rigid and strict and structured. And for you, think about when it makes sense for you to do something like this. Right early in the morning is very, very helpful for helping you get your day started off on the right foot and helping to make sure that your energy is aligned and nice and calm and peaceful before you start the hustle bustle of the day, right? Before your classes start, your kids come in for the day. And it's really, really helpful as well to do this towards the end of the day, right? And the meditation that you guys are getting is a little meditation, a little tapping meditation to end your day, so that you have that as well, that you can do that at the end of the day. But again, schedule it in, make this a non-negotiable, because you're not only giving yourself the greatest gift of being calmer, being healthier, less stressed, less anxious, but you're also giving your class the greatest gift, because a calm teacher can create a calm classroom, a safe classroom, a supportive classroom, a community, like a real community, right? And a calm teacher can show up with confidence, can show up with courage, can show up with clarity and strong communication skills, right? Because as a calm teacher is operating from a mental state, a mental and emotional state, where they're able to respond and not react. They're able to see things from different perspectives. They're able to have empathy and actually connect with students energetically, right? Which can be really hard, if not impossible to do when we are trying to manage our own, inner voices and inner challenges. So making you a priority is the greatest gift that you can give to yourself, the greatest gift that you can give to your students, the greatest gift that you can give to your family too. Okay. I hope that this was helpful for you. I would love it if you respond, if you email me, if you let me know in any way how this helped you. And I would also love to know if you have any questions. Okay. I am here to support you in any way possible to make sure that you can show up for yourself in a really powerful way, that you make yourself a commitment and a priority, and that you can show up for your students and lead your students with confidence, with compassion, and with a sense of calm and peace. Thank you so much.